Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast, Mage Site. I'm Drew.
I'm Josh.
I'm Chris.
And this is a podcast about one of my favorite tabletop games and a game that we all enjoy playing, Mage the Awakening. But before we get into the game, why don't we talk about how we got into tabletop games and how long we've been playing them for?
All right. I have been playing tabletop games since my childhood. Even my mom played D&D when she was young. So I grew up with 2nd edition, advanced D&D in the house. And in college, I started my own D&D group. And I also ran like intro encounters for 4th edition D&D.
Actually, when I met you, you were DMing one game, running encounters, so DMing another game, and you were in a game.
Yep.
While going to college.
Yeah. As for Mage the Awakening, I played Mage when I was young, in actually elementary school, the original Mage the Ascension. And the experiences with the game stuck with me, and I have been trying to run it for years. It's a little harder to get people.
We had one game going.
I ran a Mage the Awakening game during COVID, and that's sort of the genesis of this.
Mm-hmm. It's actually the first time I played Mage myself at all was the COVID game.
If you don't know, Drew here is my wife, and
Chris is our best friend.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Actually, Chris was in the game Josh was DMing, not the Encounters game. Were you in the Encounters as well?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So he was also in all three, because you were in Adam's game, too.
I was at one point, I was near the end.
Okay. Yeah, so that's how I met him. I met Josh in college, and then I hung out at the D&D games doing homework and other things while they were playing because I have a hard time getting into high fantasy games. I even have a hard time getting into high fantasy books. I love high fantasy movies and I love high fantasy. But for some reason, when it comes to playing the games or reading the books, I have a hard time visualizing a lot of what's going on when I don't have really strong personal references to it. So when I read a fantasy book, I'll read like 4 chapters in, and then I'll start it over, because that's the only way I can be like, oh, okay, no, I get what's going on. Now that I'm re-listening to it, I can visualize now what this person looks like or what this house looks like and whatever. So D&D kind of has a similar issue for me. But Mage is set in the modern day. And that's one of the things I love about it. I feel like it's a world that I could actually be a part of if I just knew how to open my eyes and see the world properly. And I love that.
Yeah. I got into it just to play in Josh's game when he was running it. I think it was the COVID game, right, that you were talking about?
Yeah, the COVID game.
I guess that's the name of it now.
It is the name of it now, yeah.
It was called The Hollow Home, the actual Nick Chronicle.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the first time. That's actually the only time I've played Mage the Awakening.
I've actually played it a little bit more because it's a game that I really enjoyed, and so I wanted to play a character from the very, very, very moment they awaken. And through that, I've actually got to play a lot of different characters that have had emphases in different magic, different arcana, which has been a lot of fun. One of my favorite ones was playing Spice, because we got to start from like the very, very, very beginning, and I got to play with the magic, and it was only me, so there wasn't a lot of other people we had to like jump around through, and it was really nice to indulge in that. I love to go back to that game.
Yeah. Starting the next game is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, me too. I'm really looking forward to my character.
Yeah.
This is a podcast that I've been wanting to do for a really long time, so I'm very, very, very excited that we're actually sitting down and starting to do it. I've looked for different things talking on this game in a style and in a way that helps me understand it, and I haven't really found it. So I'm trying to create it for myself and other people. I think it's a really fun game, and if more people understood it and knew about it, I think more people would play it. And I want to make it more available and digestible to people.
For me, Mage, me playing it when I was young, has made an impression with me about what role-playing games can be and do for people. And I just love what Mage is about and would love to share that with people.
Yeah. I mostly just enjoy the spellcasting system in Mage. Just has a lot of depth to it, which is good and bad because that just means it's very complex. And there's a lot to explain, and that's why we'll have an entire episode on spellcasting at some point.
And it is kind of my whole thing, too, is it's fun. It's a lot of fun. But there's so much information.
Yes.
And I want to give it to you. On that, we have an Instagram and we have a Patreon. They are both Mage site. And if you enjoy what we're doing, please go follow us on Instagram and join our Patreon. And you can help us so that we can continue to bring these wonderful in-depth analysis discussions on this game that we all find so intriguing.
We will be running a Let's Play Mage session on Twitch, and we're getting that set up. Yeah, you can watch us actually play the game there.
Mm-hmm. All right, now, let's get into the subject of this episode.
Mage the Awakening is a tabletop RPG set in our modern world, but where the supernatural influences every aspect of life from the shadows. Sometimes a sleeper gets a glimpse beyond the fallen world and awakens, becoming a mage. During this awakening, they come to see that the world is a lie, a prison constructed by a cabal of ascended mages called the Exarchs to maintain their dominion over the source of magic, the Supernal Realm. The walls of the prison are known as the Abyss, a place of false reality where creatures of horror reside. A mage has the ability to alter the lie with something true from their own imagination, magic. Turn people into frogs, become invisible, teleport, stop time, summon lightning, or even speak with the voice of God. The possibilities are endless. There was a time before the fallen world. Some mages call it Atlantis. Those who do have banded together to form the Atlantean Diamond, 4 orders whose sacred mission is to free mankind from the Exarchs' control. The Diamond, along with their enemy of my enemy allies, the Free Council, wage a secret war against the Seers of the Throne, a cult of mages who worship the Exarchs. And I guess we can kick off the discussion with, why is it called the Fallen World?
So, the world as we know it is not how the world used to be. Going into a sort of Gnostic kind of thinking, that the first kind of dichotomy you have to think about is that there is the world that you live in, and then sort of like a higher reality, sort of refer to that as the supernal. Think of it in the same way that in philosophy that we talk about Plato's cave, that there is the shadows that you see, and then there's the things actually casting the shadows from afar. Like in Plato's cave, you're stuck watching the shadows until maybe a philosopher comes and frees you to
or somehow you see the truth,
or
and
you
leave the cave.
Or you escape. Yeah, you escape the chains and can then go see the true reality. Well, that's sort of what happens during an awakening. You, the moment that a sleeping human can actually move and see reality for how it is. It's both a philosophical, spiritual concept. Now, Mage takes that an extra layer by saying that, like, the reality of this physical world is also been altered. Like, there is and are existing eternal forces that have made reality the way that we see and perceive it. This goes towards the more of the religious concepts of Gnosticism, which believe in a demiurge, a sort of false god which created reality.
Now, that is a good way of describing it. And because it is I see the cave, especially with the what you're seeing isn't totally, you think it's real, but it's really just a shadow of what is actually real or actually possible. Now, for me, I like going into the lore more when I think about it or understand it. So, the Fallen World. Why is it called the Fallen World? Well, it used to be a world where magic was prevalent everywhere until a cabal of 10 mages decided to take that away from everybody for their own reasons. And to call it fallen is actually kind of interesting because it's not like it fell from anywhere. It's like the magic was almost sucked away, and then the abyss separates us from the magic. And we have to reach through the abyss to get to it. That horror is keeping us from seeing it. So
what's the abyss?
That's a very good question. It's not entirely, I mean, they like to keep things very mystical when they write the book. So it doesn't really go into what exactly the abyss is or what it's made out of. In fact, they want to kind of keep that a mystery because it adds to the horror and the fear of what it is.
The abyss, from the more, as you say, mystic or philosophical side of things, is sort of the opposite of what the Supernal Realm is. The Supernal is truth. We're talking about Plato. So Plato had, in his Essentials, talked about that when we talk about symbols and we say like the word the tree, there is a thought, an idea, a tree that appears in your head, but none of those is a real tree. The Supernal would represent like the perfect tree, the idea that perfect concept of that, while the abyss is everything that isn't that's not a real tree. The abyss represents in some ways the desires of those who walk with it or those who interact with it. Their desires for things which cannot be is sort of how it relates to them.
Chris, what does the abyss say to you? Or when you think of the abyss, what do you think of?
I guess I really just think about it how it is written in the book, just pretty abstractly. You can kind of turn it into whatever would be fitting for a given situation. So I think that's largely the point of it anyway.
And that's what I mean by it, they like to keep it very like mystical, very interpretive to each person, to each DM or storyteller on how they want that to affect the story or the spell. But that's basically what it is for the game. It is one of the complications. It's one of the things that makes magic difficult or explains why magic isn't prevalent and why you can't do magic in front of sleepers. The abyss affects all of that.
The interesting thing is you guys have a very abstract view of it. If I ever decide to have a story which you guys end up in the astral realm, you can actually meet the abyss. So that would be a fun story to run.
Because everything has a spirit. Everything has some entity you can eventually talk to if you search in the right spot and hard enough.
So what is awakening?
Ooh.
We kind of described it earlier. When someone who is chained to see the false world in front of them can look and see the world as it actually is. That being said, that such a looking around isn't something one does with their neck. It's something done with their soul. And so they have to go on a journey. They have to do a thing or go to a place. And there they have to make that final way of connecting to that higher truth. And that is the moment they can see the world as it is.
And that specific part is called a path. And then what happens at the end of that makes a mage awakened?
They bind themselves to the higher power, and that creates a permanent bond so that now when they look around the world, they can see how that higher truth is everywhere. Mm-hmm. They can see it in everything all around. They can tell the difference between that which is real and that which is fabricated. So
the way I would describe an awakening is very similar. I mean, it's it starts off with the person who's asleep. The person who is just an everyday average Joe, doesn't know that magic actually exists. But something happens, whatever it is, whatever trigger it is. There's a myriad and multitudes of things that you could pick. But there's a trigger that starts them seeing things a little differently, noticing things a little differently. They might have found some book that has writing in it that they've never seen before, or they keep meeting this same person on the street and they end up following them, like the White Rabbit, and fall down a rabbit hole like Alice in Wonderland, which is actually a really, really good description of an awakening, because it can feel like an hallucination. And when you're going through this...
Can I interject with an analogy?
Please do.
If you've ever watched Matrix, everything leading up to taking the pill and after, actually, Matrix as a whole is a fantastic way of understanding how this reality works.
I mean, Neo, right?
Neo.
Neo actually had an awakening. It's not a mage one, obviously, but he followed the rabbit. I totally forgot.
But it kind of is.
Well,
he even gains access to magic.
Oh my god, he does. Because
he has a shadow name.
Yes. So there, you want to know what it looks like? There, that's what it looks like. But in order to do it, as we've talked about with the abyss being there, one of the complications is you have to figure out how to get through the abyss to the supernal in order to connect to the magic at all. So that's what the awakening is fighting and finding your way through the abyss. And while you're doing that, you're having one of the maybe best or worst trips of your entire life.
Yeah, the descriptions we have of awakenings sound like massive religious experiences, like...
Or lots of shrooms.
Well, but like, it's also like... So, I grew up Mormon, and it sounds like the same thing as the first vision.
Yes.
Yes.
You could call Joseph Smith's visions and all that an awakening.
Yeah.
That would be an interesting mage, but I would not...
No, I actually, I've got a surprise for you.
I would probably put him on the seer side.
I'm going with mad.
Ooh.
But
anyway, moving on.
So if magic comes from a mage's imagination, does that mean a mage can literally do anything they can imagine?
Yes and no.
I was going to say yes and no.
Yes, of course.
Because there are 10 different types of magic, arcana. When you awaken, when you fight through the abyss and you reach the supernal and you grab that magic, you really are only grabbing 2. And they're paired. We'll talk about that in another episode. And so you are really good with those 2. And you can start learning more and stuff like that, but you're only as good, obviously, as what you know. It's like, if you are a really good painter, but you have never sculpted, you're not also going to be a really good sculptor just because you're a really good painter. You got to focus on sculpting to get good at it.
Thing is, there are 2 main limiters. One, as you mentioned, they're arcana, they're magic. The second one is their imagination is for human beings is limited, and that when imagination is not sufficient, that is it opens up the door for other forces to fill in the gaps. Also, there is an element that the mage perceives truths and things in the world, and if the mage does not think that or does not believe their magic can do something, they cannot do that thing. So if your connection says that you're a priest or a demigod who is devoted to healing the world, you couldn't use your magic to harm people because it goes against how you understand its purpose.
Right. The way I would put it is that they can do anything they can imagine, but they have to imagine it in such a particular way that they don't actually have the skills to imagine very powerful things until they kind of learn those skills.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't really get to do anything until you learn to, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Though the game is very friendly at allowing you to do more than you should be able to do, with some risk.
So what other dangers are there?
So primarily the Curse of Quiescence and Paradox. The Curse of Quiescence is... So this goes back to the Abyss. In the soul of every human being rests a shard of the Abyss. That shard tells them that, or changes the way they perceive supernal and true things, and instead replaces those symbols with lies. What ends up the effect thereof is that sleepers can't remember magic, and if they saw it, they will find explanations to explain that away. The other problem that with the sleeping curse is that it can destabilize or destroy spells. When they disbelieve what they are seeing, that disbelief can cause the spell to vanish. So that didn't happen actually can go further than simply just them not remembering it.
That's one of the things I like about the game, is that unlike in a lot of other stories when it comes to magic, and why isn't magic prevalent, and why can't everyone do magic? Like in Harry Potter, Hagrid says something to Harry about, well, then everyone would want magical fixes to their problems, so we can't let everyone know their magic. And then in shows like Charmed, when they would have the sisters get found out as witches and stuff, it was always catastrophic with people being scared of them and persecutions coming back and stuff like that. So that's why you can't let anyone know that you're a witch or magically inclined or anything like that. But in this story, it's because there's a spell, basically, on everybody. Everyone has a piece of the abyss, that thing that keeps us away from magic, as an extra barrier to keep us away from magic. And it's almost like it has a magnetic force to it. So, like, there's a human asleep, there's a sleeper, they see magic, and the magic bounces off of them and transforms into something you didn't mean it to be. But I like it having an actual reason like that, something that's holding us back or keeping it from us versus, shh, don't tell anybody.
Right. There's definitely there are natural forces in the world that keep the secret, keeps magic secret. The analogy I have for what the Abyss is doing is that it is a lie that needs to eat truth to remain in the world. And so when every spell becomes a risk of kind of coming in and then being devoured. We see this in a lot of other aspects of the game, that the Abyss is constantly hungering after magical forces.
Mm-hmm. The other thing I want to throw in here when it comes to the Abyss and the peace that's in everyone that gives us a sleep of quiescence is that not only does it make doing magic complicated because it will destroy your magic, but because it's toxic. I don't know if toxic's the right word, but when it's hit with magic, it actually negatively affects the sleeper as well. It's not like the sleeper is just going, oh, that doesn't exist, so I'm going to think it doesn't exist, and then therefore that spell is just going to dissipate. It actually messes with their psyche, and if they've been around magic like that too many times, if the Abyss has had to fight magic away from them too many times, it can drive them crazy.
It can also drive them to awaken.
With good and bad results, that's not necessarily the best way to awaken.
Oh, no.
Nobody knows the best way to awaken.
Yes, no, nobody knows the best way to awaken.
Except the Silver Ladder.
Actually, the Silver Ladder, the Silver Ladder actually has a method which is intentionally doing the making them go mad method because, well, if you survive, you're likely to have gone insane, and a couple of them will have done it.
have successfully awoken.
Yeah. The different groups have different ways, but this is the Silver Ladder's method.
Okay.
Okay, so the Silver Ladder is one of the members of the Atlantean Diamond, right? What is that?
Okay. So the Diamond are ancient mage orders that have their histories as far back as Alexander's Greece. They have a shared understanding of the fall and the way the abyss came into the world that is based on their mythology of Atlantis. We'll talk to this about as the time before. From their understanding, there was a time in which there was no abyss, and that the separation between the world and the Supernal Realm was thin. The Atlantean orders believed that during that period, mankind united to create the first city, which we call Atlantis. Yes, this follows Plato's story pretty closely, actually. And then, in an act of hubris, some of the lords of Atlantis created a tower to heaven, Tower of Babel kind of thing, and ascended into the Supernal Realm in physical form, and reality was rewritten, and those lords who went to Atlantis are what they call the Exarchs, and with that tower they brought in the abyss to change reality into a prison.
Okay, do you want to talk about that, Drew?
The Atlantean Diamond?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Atlantean Diamond are 4 different groups that when you're a mage and you awaken you can join, which are the Silver Ladder, the Guardians of the Veil,
The Mysterium, and the Adamantine Arrow. And each of them, even though they all work together, they each have their own philosophy and understanding of how to fight this world and how to exist in it. So when you awaken, you can decide to join one of these orders, and most people do, and you join whichever one fits your philosophy the best. Or there's a free council group that you can join, which is basically, you kind of pick your own philosophy, I guess. Well, not just pick your own philosophy. It's a myriad of different kinds of groups with their own, opinions. It's sort of like, the free council is sort of like the lesser orders that aren't as well known, because there's lots of them.
Each of the orders are themselves global spanning institutions, but they provide different roles within Mage Society.
So we have the Atlantean Diamond and the Free Council who are trying to get rid of the Abyss and kind of restore the time before. What's up with the Seers?
So, way back in the day, during the founding of the Silver Ladder, the original order, the mages of the time had come to recognize that there were specific symbols of magic, symbols of oppression, that these symbols acted with power and authority and rewarded those who served them. Those proto-seers began to follow what those symbols required of them, and the symbols began to talk to them. Those are believed within the Atlantean mythology are those same nobles that joined the heavens, or that conquered the heavens. So the seers serve those forces and are rewarded for them. The seers act as organizations over the world that basically rob magic and happiness from people's lives in order to feed and worship their gods.
Yeah, so when I think of the seers, I mean, they're the quintessential bad guys that we're fighting in the game, basically. And they serve the Exarchs. They serve those 10 mages that went up in that tower, took over the Supernal, and now they're like, hey, we use magic for you, and we'll keep everybody under your thumb. I hope you guys all enjoyed our first episode. Please go and check out our Instagram and our Patreon and look forward to the Let's Play, which is coming very, very soon. Talk to you guys all next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.